Dominance can be fleeting. All throughout history, kings that once ruled were dethroned, forgotten, and cast into obscurity. Once powerful empires crumble, their rulers mere footnotes in the archives of time. Whether through betrayal from within, shifting tides of fortune, or the inevitable rise of a stronger force, history has shown us all that no king holds their throne forever. From rulers such as King Charles to powerful empires like the Romans, each believed they were invincible, but in time, all kings fall. But gods endure. This is the history of Arceus Vstar. Arceus had always been a symbol of creation, power, and authority in the Pokémon universe. Its lore paints it as the creator of the Pokémon world itself. And in February of 2022, the TCG card that bore its name was born. Arceus Vstar was released in the Brilliant Stars expansion, which also introduced a new mechanic to the game, the Vstar mechanic. This new Vstar mechanic was a game changer. It allowed for players to access powerful abilities called Vstar powers. However, these could only be activated once per game, but these abilities had the potential to swing matches in ways previously unseen, and at the forefront of this revolution was Arceus Vstar, with its own ability that would come to define this card's dominance, Starbirth. With a simple activation, Starbirth gave players the ability to search for any two cards from their deck. Two cards may not seem like much at first, but in a game where resources, consistency, and timing often dictate the victor, a lot of the times, two cards was all you needed. Its versatility allowed Arceus to be more than just a card. It was a canvas, a cornerstone of creativity. Whether as an aggressive powerhouse using its attack Trinity Nova for 3 colorless energy, swinging for 200 damage and powering up attackers on your bench, or the engine that kept the deck running smoothly. Even a defensive wall with its 280 HP and control-like ability to be recycled by cards such as Sharon's Care, Arceus Vstar adapted to the needs of the wielder, unlocking new potential in every new partner the deck was dealt. What truly set Arceus apart wasn't just its ability to thrive in a single deck, it was its ability to forge new paths, creating endless opportunities for innovation. It could adapt and evolve, shaping new archetypes and synergizing with a variety of different partners across the formats. Each pairing told a new story, each deck a fresh take on what Arceus could achieve, whether it was enabling bulky defensive strategies, setting up complex control plays, or empowering pure aggression. Arceus showed time and time again that it was a god of many faces. Let's take a look at some of the most iconic partnerships that have defined Arceus Vstar's reign. The Fortress. One of the earliest and most iconic combinations that Arceus Vstar found itself in was with Duraludon VMAX. This deck became infamous for its ability to wall off opponents with Duraludon's Skyscraper ability, which prevented damage from Pokémon with special energy. Arceus, meanwhile, provided the essential energy acceleration and consistency, fueling Duraludon's powerful attacks and giving the deck the durability and power it needed to stand against even the most aggressive opponents. The Tactician. Arceus and Inteleon capitalized on Inteleon's Shady Dealing's ability to search for trainer cards, while Arceus Vstar provided consistency and firepower, with Starburst enabling access to any key cards. Inteleon's search engine gave the deck pinpoint control over its resources. This combination thrived in environments that were strategic play, letting trainers adapt to almost any situation. The Barrier. As the meta evolved, so did the partners. One particularly creative deck combined Arceus with Flying Pikachu VMAX. This unusual pairing proved to be highly effective against the popular Palkia V-Star, thanks to Flying Pikachu VMAX's max balloon attack hitting Palkia for weakness and preventing all basic Pokemon from damaging it the following turn. Arceus ensured that Flying Pikachu would be well fed with energy and could reliably shut down some of the most feared attackers in the game. The Good and the Evil. Perhaps one of the most recent and impactful combinations has been with Giratina V-Star. The pairing of Arceus and Giratina created a brutally aggressive deck, capable of massive one-hit knockouts. While Arceus provided the early game setup and energy acceleration, Giratina's Lost Impact attack could deliver devastating blows, often swinging entire games in its favour. With Starbirth ensuring key pieces were always at hand, this deck became a favourite among players who wanted a balance of aggression, control, and simplicity. I mean, who doesn't love a beatdown deck at times? After its monumental win at Worlds, you might think players would have developed concrete strategies to counter it. Sure, it had a few bad matchups, but Arceus never suffered from the kind of hard counters that plagued other decks, unlike Mew, which had to contend with Drapion V as a natural predator. Arceus remained resilient, through its sheer flexibility, always evolving alongside the meta by partnering with the right cards. However, Arceus did have its share of weaknesses. One of its biggest was its reliance on energy attachment during the first turn. Without securing that early energy, Arceus couldn't use Trinity Nova on the following turn, significantly slowing down the deck's momentum. Its starts could often feel sluggish compared to more aggressive strategies, as Arceus had to build up energy to fuel its key attackers. This slow ramp-up left the opponent enough time to establish a stronger board presence, a crucial disadvantage in fast-paced matchups. Aggressive decks like Miraidon EX pose a significant threat. Miraidon's ability to take knockouts as early as the first turn going second put enormous pressure on Arceus, often eliminating it before it could even evolve into the powerful Vstar form. Arceus could get overwhelmed by this rapid tempo, especially when faced with a deck that could swarm the field with attackers early on, leaving little room for Arceus to breathe. However, once Arceus was able to set up its board, usually with support like the barrel for draw power and whichever partner attack it was paired with, the deck quickly turned the tide. Arceus could focus on taking key prize cards while also sniping the opponent's lower HP support Pokémon, utilizing cards like Boss's Orders to target the opponent's vulnerable setup. Arceus made it difficult for many decks to answer, as reaching the 280 damage required to knock it out wasn't a simple task. Few decks could reliably hit that threshold turn after turn. The combination of Arceus' durability, access to free searches through Starbirth, and energy acceleration from Trinity Nova made it really difficult to deal with. Whether paired with tanky partners like Duraludon or aggressive threats like Giratina Vstar, Arceus could dictate the pace of the game, forcing the opponent to play reactively. It could overwhelm slower strategies and endure the pressure from faster ones, often recovering through clever use of healing and support cards like Sharon's Care, which further lengthened its lifespan on the field. Arceus Vstar's debut was nothing short of a statement. After securing an impressive second-place finish at its very first event, it quickly followed it up with its first major win at Salt Lake City. This victory marked the beginning of a legendary run, as Arceus would go on to claim 22 major tournament titles. From regionals to internationals and ultimately, the pinnacle of competitive play, the World Championships. In more recent times, Arceus may not have dominated as consistently as it once did, but its presence has never faded. At the 2024 EUIC event, Arceus had a resurgence thanks to the introduction of ace-spec cards. While ace-specs had the drawback of being limited to just one copy per deck, Arceus circumvented this restriction with ease, as its Starbirth ability could reliably find these crucial one-off cards at any point during the game. One of the top-performing Arceus decks at EUIC was an old favourite, Arceus Giratina. This deck made a comeback bolstered by new additions like the ace-spec Maximum Belt, which allowed Giratina to hit up to 330 damage, a key number, as it was now enough to take down Charizard EX. Another powerful tool was Iron Leaves, which proved invaluable for dispatching Charizard EXs due to its type advantage. Although Arceus couldn't directly accelerate energy onto Iron Leaves, its ability Rapid Vernier made this a non-issue, as it could move energy onto itself when switching into the active spot when played from the hand. This gave the deck an unexpected knockout option, catching opponents off guard. But perhaps the most intriguing Arceus deck to emerge from EUIC was a more control-focused variant. Rather than relying on brute force like Giratina, this deck took a more passive resource denial approach, expertly running opponents out of key cards. It utilized Luxray V, which could snipe training cards directly from the opponent's hand, and leaned heavily on Hero's Cape, an ace-spec that increased a Pokemon's HP by 100. Arceus now reached a massive 380 HP, with the additional damage reduction from Radiant Gardevoir, which reduced incoming damage from V Pokemon by 20. Arceus could effectively become a 400 HP tank. Furthering this control strategy, the deck featured Eri, a supporter that allowed the player to view the opponent's hand and discard up to 2 item cards. When paired with the item Grabber, which could force an opponent to place a Pokemon from their hand at the bottom of their deck, it became a formidable combination, ruining opponents' hands. This approach proved devastating against resource-heavy decks like Charizard, Chien-Pao, and Lost Box, as it could target essential cards like Ray Candy, Superior Energy Retrieval, or Mirage Gate respectively, crippling their game plans. Currently, Arceus' best pairing is with Dusknoir, which unlocks power Arceus has never truly wielded before, multi-prize turns. Though it might not be the strongest deck in the current format, this combination still secured a respectable finish at the first regional of the 2024-25 season in Baltimore. Beyond that, Arceus has found success with Vulpix Vstar and Noivern EX, operating as a more control-orientated deck, suppressing the opponent's ability to attack. This combo is dangerous because of how many popular decks it just completely shuts down. Noivern EX is a nightmare for basic heavy decks like Ancient Box, Roaring Moon, and Raging Bolt, while Vulpix Vstar takes care of any strategy reliant on abilities, think Charizard EX and Regidrago Vstar. But what of the future? As we approach the twilight of Arceus' lifespan in standard format, its future is uncertain. The metagame evolves, new threats emerge, and yet Arceus still stands tall, if only for a little while longer. Though it may not always be the strongest deck in the room, its adaptability ensures that it's never far from the conversation. One good meta shift, one smart pairing, and Arceus might add another trophy to its collection. For now, all we can do is wait and speculate. Like the gods of myth, Arceus' reign may wane with time, but a god's legacy never fades. Kings rise and fall, forgotten as the winds of time pass over their names. But Arceus, its story is still being written. And whether on the battlefield or in the hearts of those who play, one truth remains. Gods endure.